few moments later.
If you are anything like him, you've sat down to study for 3 hours, then you realize that 3 hours have passed, you've done nothing but only doom scroll, you're not lazy, but you are suffering from attentional residue.
Science shows that when you switch tasks, for example checking your phone mid-study, your brain is actually stuck to that task. It drains your cognitive battery.
The solution is supposed to be Pomodoro technique, 25 minutes of work and 5 minutes of rest. But does it actually work, or is it just like productivity fad?
To test it out, we recruited a group of students to run an experiment testing 3 different methods, and the results actually changed how we work.
This study investigates a simple question. Does Pomodoro technique actually improve productivity compared to usual study habits? And does phone use during breaks matter?
The participants follow a total of 2 phases under different conditions, with each lasting 3 days. The very first step, we asked them to report their usual study habits, then the first phase began. Participants follow the Pomodoro method, which consists of 25 minutes studying and 5-minute breaks, where they are free to do anything including free phone use.
Afterward, they outlined their focus, effectiveness, and how their breaks affected their ability to refocus. Then, phase 2 started. The same structure was repeated, but they are not allowed to use their phone during the breaks. Finally, they compared both conditions, focusing on differences in focus and motivation, followed by interviews for deeper insights.
Yes, because I always ended up doom scrolling.
Of course, because I will play on my phone and I will forget what I was studying. I feel like when I wasn't using my phone, it will be more productive to me, because when I was using my phone, I'll lose track of time and it distracts me very much.
With phone breaks, I feel I get more tired easily. On the other hand, with no phone breaks, I feel more relaxed.
I'd say I'm more focused now before the experience.
More focused.
Now let's go into details about what they found. Before the experiment began, all 5 participants showed a similar pattern. On average, participants studied less than 1 to 2 hours per day, with low effectiveness at 4.8 out of 10. Regular breaks were uncommon, scoring only 4 out of 10. However, there were clear individual differences. 2 participants could focus for over 45 minutes, while others managed only 15 to 30 minutes or less. Most used methods like to-do list and active recall, but 2 of them did not use any specific technique. None of our participants regularly used the Pomodoro technique. 60% of them had heard of it and had tried it once or twice, and 40% of them were new to it. Despite these differences, one factor was universal. Everyone identified their phone as their biggest source of distraction, with the frequency averaging a high 8.6 out of 10. When the Pomodoro technique was introduced, there was a noticeable improvement. Effectiveness compared to previous habits increased to an average of 7.2 out of 10, and focus during session rose to 6.8 out of 10. But when you see it per individual, the improvement was not evenly distributed. Participant D with the lowest baseline productivity started at 2 out of 10, and he experienced the most dramatic gains, reaching to 9 out of 10. In contrast, participant C, who was already moderately productive, started at 7 out of 10, showed only marginal improvement.
During the 5-minute breaks, all participants used their phones, and this caused problems. Their average ability to refocus was only 5.4 out of 10, and 60% of them said that their motivation decreased. This shows that many of them found it difficult to return to studying, and distractions continued into the next session. One participant even said that his break often lasted longer than 5 minutes. However, 80% were still willing to continue, although 3 preferred longer study sessions without breaks. And in the second week, phones were not allowed during breaks. Instead, participants could stretch, do light exercise, have some food or water, practice deep breathing, or talk with others nearby. As a result, performance became more stable and differences between participants became smaller. Effectiveness increased to 8.6 out of 10 and focus rose to 8.8 out of 10. For example, one participant improved like for 5 to 8 out of 10, while stronger participants maintained or slightly improved their scores. So overall, 80% reported a great improvement in focus, and the remaining participants also experienced some improvement.
What we found was pretty fascinating. Let's break this down a bit more.
At first, it seems that the Pomodoro technique was the main reason for the improvement. And to some extent, this is true. The structured time intervals help participants manage their time more effectively. However, its real success depended on how they used their breaks. When phones were picked up in between, participants experienced attention residue. Their minds are stuck on messages or social media, which makes it harder to refocus. But when phones were removed, both focus and effectiveness increased. This is not a coincidence but a scientific effect. Phone use creates high stimulation and releases dopamine, which makes studying feel less interesting. As a result, participants found it harder to refocus. In contrast, activities like stretching or resting help the brain recover and reduce mental stress. Overall, the results show that the Pomodoro technique improves time management and focus, especially when phones are not used during breaks. However, the study is limited by its small sample size, self-reported data, and short duration.